I'm gonna record.
Hey y'all, my name is Alysun Caldwell and I'm here with Randi, and we are going to talk a little bit tonight about customer care, kind of why it's important, what you want to be saying, doing, like why we're doing this, some troubleshooting tips, all that. So some do's and don'ts. We're gonna dive into the whole thing. So the very first thing that I want to hit on is something that I think a lot of us have to learn the hard way. I know I did, is that when you're not providing good customer care, it's kind of more about you than about them. And that's never a good thing. It was more about me worrying about what to say, not feeling confident to follow up. I was feeling like I was bothering people. And I didn't feel like it was useful. So I say all that to say, when you are focused on your friend or your family member, whoever you've helped to get started, they're counting on you. So part of what you need to be remembering is that it's not about your fear. It's not about your anxiety for reaching out. You need to follow up with them because you promised them that you would be there holding their hand basically on this journey, right? You're there to help them. So how do we do that? We provide good customer service by asking lots of questions. And that's not necessarily hopping in the chat every single time and say, how's it going? And then just waiting, because they don't know. They don't know what to look for. They don't know if they're like, I mean, I guess it's going okay. But if they don't have enough information to go off of, and you're not asking specific enough questions, they're not really sure what to say. And you get a lot less feedback. And a lot of people don't even answer. That's what I found. So learning to ask some really good questions is so important. And Randi's going to talk a little more about that in a few minutes. But following up with them in a very pointed directional way where, you're giving them questions to answer is awesome. Part of that is a three-way chat. So when you're following up in a chat that includes your upline, your friend that sponsored you in, because that not only provides an extra layer of accountability, it provides someone else that's there to help maybe on hours when you might not be available. And it just provides an extra layer of trust, because there's that validation when you've got that third party in there. So make sure that you're getting your new people into a chat, especially if you find that they're kind of having some questions and they're not really sure what's going on. Just tell them, hey, let me put you in a chat really quick. This is my friend Randi. She's an amazing resource, and I just wanted to introduce you real quick. It doesn't have to be long. And then when you're following up in there. And if they have tougher questions that you can't answer, then your friend is there to help and to answer questions as well. The other thing you can plug them into is corporate welcome calls. That is amazing. They're doing those every Wednesday. I forgot the time. Let me look on here. What is it? Is it 7? I don't know. 7. Okay. Randi says it's 7 o'clock. I have too many papers in front of me. So those corporate welcome calls are great because it's a little bit of information and just kind of a welcome to Plexus. It gets them plugged in. And we're going to have also another video, not necessarily corporate, but Bethany Spear, who is one of our diamond kind of sidelines. She has a quick video about customer care also, and we're going to put that into the chat thread, not here on the Zoom, but we're going to put that into the Lead with Love chat thread so that you guys can watch that. So she's talking about when she has a new customer order, no matter who it is, just shooting them an email, shoot them a text message like, thank you so much for your order. I saw you got started. I'm super excited for you. We need to make sure that we're giving them sorry, hearing noises. We need to make sure that we're giving them the instructions to take their products correctly. And we need to make sure that we're setting up proper expectations. So, hey, everybody. I don't like to tell people a whole lot of detail on detoxing. I want people to know that it's possible that they might experience some detox symptoms, and that my job is to help them go through this process with minimal discomfort. That's how I cover it. And then if they have questions or they're having any issues, we talk about that later. So I want them to know that it's available, but sometimes the tendency is to dig in and give them all the information about things that could go wrong. But that puts a lot of people in a mindset where they're looking for things to go wrong. And that is tougher for them to see the things that are going right. Sometimes they miss those. So we want to be sure that they know that we're here for everything for them. We're here to help with the products, with dosing. We're here to help with logging in, with any account questions. We want to be the ones calling customer service for our customers because we don't want them sitting on hold. Like, let that be us. That's part of the service that we can provide. And amazing service is what's going to set you apart. And it's what's going to help people stick around and be grateful that they have that service from you. And you want to be following up with them frequently enough, especially in the beginning, to make sure that you're catching any possible issues early enough. So let's say that, they're having digestive troubles and it's really like they're going way too much. And if you don't catch it and they're going 5 days, then they think, well, something's wrong. But if you're checking in with them a couple times during those first week or two, and asking them those pointed questions, like I said, we're going to give you some examples of that also, but asking them those pointed questions, then that gives them a chance to say, well, actually, I'm having this issue. And you could say, okay, here's what we're going to change. That just means we're doing a little bit too much change to your gut all at one time. Let's slow things down. We're going to make some adjustments and see how we do. And then people know that you're trustworthy and they know that you're here to help them. And if you don't know the answers right away, go ask, go ask, screenshot, do what you got to do and find the answers for them. People don't mind hearing, I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out for you and get back to you. That's totally okay. I think a lot of us get paralyzed in the beginning because we're like, and that starts that anxiety of, I don't know, I don't want to reach out to them because what if they ask me a question and I don't know the answer? It's okay. We have answers out there. So when you're kind of dealing with that sort of anxiety of, I'm afraid to reach out to this person, I want you to remember that when you go out to eat and you sit down at your restaurant and you've eaten this great meal and the food's amazing and you're just eating and eating and eating, and you're like, wow, I'm so full. And you feel great. You're having a good time and you're chit-chatting. And then your waiter comes over and says, what? Did you save some room for dessert? And you're like, oh my gosh, no, I'm so full. And they're like, okay, no worries. I'll go get the check for you. I'll do whatever. That waiter, number one, did not stress in the kitchen about coming to ask you if you wanted dessert. They weren't freaking out about it. They weren't worried if you were going to ask them questions about what was in the dessert or how much they had, how big is it? They don't care. They were just like, hey, do you want some? That's the kind of attitude that we need to come at our customer service with, is we're offering. It's not up to us whether or not they're accepting our help. It's not up to us whether or not they are willing to converse with us. It's up to us to make it open, to make it available, and to make it just a nice conversation so that people know that it's just, we're offering help. And sometimes people want to make a change like that, and sometimes they don't. And, sometimes they're ready to have a conversation. Sometimes they need a little more time, and that's okay. So I want you to think about that when you're reaching out to people and offering that customer services. They're not stressing about that, so you shouldn't either. So there's some other do's and don'ts. I'm going to let Randi cover some of that stuff. I hope I'm doing okay on time. I will mute myself and pass that off to Randi.
Yeah, I think you're doing great on time, actually. But yeah, a couple things I just wanted to add to that. I might be repeating a couple of the things that Alyson's already covered, but I was going to just kind of go off of what Alysun was saying because I wrote this down. I'm like, okay, this is something I need to say, but it's easier to reach out if you let them know from the very beginning, right? If you're telling them like, I'm going to be following up with you often at the beginning. I'm just letting you know this at the very beginning. We have to make sure that the products are working correctly for you. So I will probably be reaching out to you every couple of days, depending on how things are going, right? Detox. I wrote that down because it made me think, we don't want to be talking about detox before they sign up, right? But directly after they sign up, we do want to mention it, and we do want to know that, let them know that it's very possible that they're going to be dealing with some detox or die off symptoms, and to let them know that's normal and that's healthy, and it shows the products are working and it's going to help get things in balance. So you don't want them to be afraid of it. You want them to realize that that's a normal thing, right? And then also one thing that I do too with, speaking of customer care, before they even sign up, I actually list off all the products that would benefit them for whatever they have going on. Because that way, if I say, you're going to, this is based off your health goals and what you have going on, your autoimmune disease, whatever it is, you're going to benefit from the triplex, from Ease, from X Factor Plus vitamins, from MetaBurn, right? I might list all of those off, but I'm going to say, but we're going to start you here first, right? And that way and I say, maybe the next month we're going to add something else in, and then I like to also bring in the perk talk here too, because I can always talk about after your second order, you have the opportunity to get a free product. So out of those other products that I mentioned, we can add one of those in, a couple months in. Right. And so it makes it really easy, and it makes it sound like, oh, well, she's going to be saving me some. I'm not going to have to start on all these products at once. And you don't, honestly, I don't like to start them off on more than 3 products from the beginning, maybe 4, and that might be triplex plus Ease. Because if they're starting off on too much, it's overwhelming, and then they just don't do it, right? They're not consistent. So it's always better to tell them from the beginning, this is what you're going to benefit from, but we're going to start you here first, and we will slowly add things in based off what's going on as we're following up. So speaking of do's and don'ts, I'm going to kind of go into that right now. Like I said, might be a little bit of repeat, but that's probably good. Sometimes you hear it from me, or sometimes you hear it from Alysun and it clicks, right? So don't fear reaching out to them often. That's basically what I just covered, and it's what Alysun had said too. You are not bothering them, and it actually looks worse if you are not reaching out to them, because they feel like they're just another number and you just wanted to get a sale, right? So do not fear reaching out. Don't make it about you. This is about them. And if you really want to help them, then you need to be reaching out to them and following up with them often. Don't let them join without a subscription. Now, it automatically sets up, and I think it's honestly pretty hard to turn that off. Like, unless you log in afterwards and turn it off, it's kind of hard to skip that. But the important thing is obviously let them know it's not required. If you ever need to turn it off, or if you ever need to push it back or whatever, not a problem at all. But tell them about the benefits. What are the benefits of a subscription? Well, for one, they are going to be more consistent with their products, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I like other products that I buy that aren't on the subscription, I forget. I'm like, oh crap, I'm about out of these products. And then guess what? I get it a week late. So it helps them with sticking to their products and being consistent. Another thing is the perks, right? They only get their perks if they have a subscription on. And so I let them know it has to be a 100 PB subscription to get the perks. But if there's ever a month that you can't order that amount, or you just don't need stuff because maybe we started you off slowly, push your subscription back to the next month, and then you can place a manual order that month. I always tell them that. I always want to make sure that they understand that. I find that I'm explaining that to a lot of people through my texts that aren't mine, like people on my team, but not like my direct level ones. So if we're all explaining that from the very beginning, it's less likely for that to happen. They might say when I'm messaging them like, hey, you're about to lose 800 perks, they might, hopefully they at least know, but most people don't. And they're like, wait, what does that even mean? So we have to make sure we're explaining that at the beginning, because 800 perks is what? At least 2 free products, guys. We don't want them missing out. These products do take time, obviously, as we all know. And if they're wanting a quick Band-Aid fix, that's probably not Plexus, right? So we need to also, from the very beginning, let them know that, this is a lifestyle change. We need to be real with them. And most people want the quick Band-Aid fix, but most people, if you tell them from the very beginning, they're going to be more patient. They're not going to be, because when they see those before and after pictures and they're like, oh, I want weight loss, they will be more patient because you let them know from the very beginning, right? Your body's going to focus on toxin loss first. You might lose inches first. So just be real with them and be honest, and don't be freaked out because they said they want to lose weight. And you're like, oh, no, they're never going to sign up because they're not going to lose weight within like 2 weeks. You guys, that's so unhealthy anyway. And they're always going to gain it back if they even did lose it quickly. So you could let them know that. I mean, I watched it happen, plenty of times through the years with my mom, with any other people too, that yo-yo diet. So explain the referral link as they are signing up. That is extremely, extremely important. Try to get on a call with them and walk them through it. So you don't have to get all their info from them. I mean, you could, if you guys have a great relationship. Like I've had several from the last couple of months that were like, can you just do it for me? And I'm like, absolutely not a problem. And before I would do that, again, I would sign them up still. Like I had their info while I was still on the phone with them. I'm still doing it with them and saying, hey, just so you know, I'm at the referral link and here's what this is about. I usually tell people to use their first and last name so it's an easy link to remember, and just let them know, what's awesome about Plexus is our VIP customers, first off, you get wholesale pricing. And you have a referral link. It's kind of, I'll always explain it like it's kind of like daily harvest, or depending on what they know. I can just refer people and I get money off of my next order that I place. So it's really cool, really great benefit. And if you decide that you can either decide if you want a product credit that's going to take credit off for your next order, or you can decide if you want to take the cash and go ahead and share with a few more friends, right? So letting them know that, and then letting them know the difference, because it's like they can make $60 product credit, or they can make $400 from referring 3 people, right? And most people are like, what? And they decide to upgrade because they're like, that's a huge difference. So make sure you're saying that from the very beginning. Don't forget to get them silver as soon as possible. I know that's something we don't want to talk about silver. Obviously, we don't want to use that verbiage, but just like I talked about, adding those 3 friends. So making sure you're explaining this to them as they're signing up. And here's the verbiage. And I gave this to you guys the other day in the chat, but I will add it in there again if you guys need me to, so that I can best support you. If you enjoy your products and feel a difference, are you open to sharing your referral link for cash or product credit in the future? Ask them that from the start. Right there, you're planting the seed, right? And like I said, since we had that conversation about the money, once they start feeling great within a few days of having better energy, or maybe a couple weeks, and they're like, oh my gosh, like I already somehow lost 3 pounds and I've never been able to lose weight. Encourage them to put a post out there and share that, and remind them, hey, you got that referral link. Do you have any other friends that might be interested in this as well, right? And so I throw this in here, the whole gym analogy, right? I think this was Brandy said this to me. For one, when I asked her, I was like, these products are awesome, they work. Do I have to take these for the rest of my life, right? And that was actually kind of what made me decide to share. And she was like, well, if you go to the gym and you're getting toned and you're losing weight or whatever, and then you stop, do you keep the tone? Like, does everything stay there? And I was like, oh, no. And she's like, exactly. So there's that analogy, but also the accountability partner part, right? If I were to go to the gym by myself and I'm there and I'm like, I'm all pumped up, it's January, right? And starting the new year off right. And I go in there and there's nobody there to watch me. You guys, I'm like, all right, I did 20 minutes. No one's looking at me. I have nobody here. I'm out the door. Like, I'm good. Versus if I had a friend come with me, they are going to push me and like, you can do this, keep going. And it's going to motivate me to keep going and working harder, right? It's the same thing with these products. We need accountability partners. And so that's basically the way that you kind of want to, depending on the person's situation, sometimes it's going to be money you're talking about. And sometimes it's like, let's grab an accountability partner so you have someone to do this with, right? Someone to cheer you on, one of your good friends. So don't skip doing a 3-way chat. That's another don't. We want to make sure that you are connecting them to your upline, or the person, if it's not your direct upline, whoever it is, like but it's usually your direct upline. Most people have the direct upline that is working the business with them. The reason why that's so important is they've got that other person there to help out, answer questions, cheer them on, whatever it is. Sometimes you may have a busy schedule. Jacqueline's on here. She always puts me in 3-way chats, and her schedule's crazy, right? She's a nurse and she's got a busy schedule. And so I'm sometimes that person to answer questions for her people. Other thing is you guys, and most of you guys know that messages go out from me, right? And she's gonna have the same thing with her team. Messages going out throughout the whole team. And then a lot of times people are like, who are you? Why are you messaging me? But when you put them in a chat, there's that connection right away, right? So they know who I am, and they're not going to be asking that. And they're probably not going to be sending me rude text messages back, right? So it's so important to do that. Plug them into our Love Your Guts page is huge. I mean, a lot of them should be on there before they even start anyways, because that's our potentials page as well. Introduce them, and the welcome post every Saturday, we do a welcome post automatically. Like, it's one that I put all together for everybody, but it's okay if you guys want to do your own welcome post for them. Do a welcome post if they decide to share, and you add them to Lead with Love. Like, that's a great place to welcome them, make them feel welcomed and special. Again, introduce them to your upline, just connect them with the other people and plug them into the challenges and the incentives. We've got so much going on that page on Love Your Guts for everybody. So make sure you're letting them know about that. Well, I'm going to mention this again, but Alysun has already mentioned this, the Welcome to Plexus call. And by the way, guys, I get to be the one to run it. I don't know if I told any of you guys that. I may have told Alysun, but I'm running it May 18th, I think it is, that Wednesday. Terrified, but I'm doing it. So that's every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. And then I just want to remind you guys, the calendar, the Plexus calendar is on your dashboard, right? It's that big red box. So it's kind of almost hard to see for whatever reason, but you can click view calendar and it shows everything wherever, whenever they have their calls. So you always know when they are. Don't send them a bunch of videos to watch and content, all of this stuff, you guys, that's overwhelming. So just make sure baby steps going through things when you guys are messaging them. And, if it's someone who does want to share, yes, Plexus has some stuff on the page to help, or on the website to help out with that, to kind of go through. It'll say new ambassadors here. And I think that's a great place to start when they're trying to learn. But I would encourage them to just, I usually say just 30 minutes a day. Like, don't do too much. I mean, a lot of people get overwhelmed with that. Keep an easily visible list of everyone in their first 90 days so that you're contacting them often and you're taking care of them. So make sure that you're, really paying attention to that, however it is that you do it, if you're writing it down. Or I have on my phone, I do the reminders list actually that I add them to and put them in my calendar. And I think Kelsey's got a really great system for that too. I don't know if Alysun, what Alysun does, maybe she can share after I am finished with these last couple points, but let's see here. So yeah, touch and base every 3 days at the very least. Let's see here, I'm going to go quickly. Set important expectations. So this takes 60 to 90 days. Drink your water. Die off happens and should make you excited. Means the products are working. And then the last thing I'm going to say really quickly before Alysun jumps back on really fast to go over some troubleshooting is celebrate all their victories, big and small. Did they get half their body weight in ounces in water? Did they lose 5 pounds in a couple of weeks? Did they do their first Facebook post? Whatever it is, just make sure you're celebrating them and cheering them on for the little things. And then I have a 4-week customer care script, and I'm just going to throw that into the chat, and Alyson's going to go ahead and cover troubleshooting really fast.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I'm going to throw in there victories, big and small. Just a little example of that. I have a new gal who started in my big month in, what was that, March? And she was like, oh, I mean, things are going okay. And I was like, can we talk about the difference in your face? And she was like, what do you mean? And I said, hang on, I'm going to throw together a side-by-side for you. And because she had changed her profile picture and then she had just posted another one, and I put them side by side and I was like, look at the difference in your face. And she was like, oh my gosh. So sometimes it helps if we're showing them, if that's something. I mean, some people don't necessarily post pictures or whatever, but it helps when they see it. And that's, a good way to remind them to do their before and after pictures, because sometimes you see the inflammation go, and we all know that. So troubleshooting though, sometimes they're not all the way happy. Sometimes they're not really sure what's going on. And this is where you can kind of make or break your business when you're helping people, because they don't know this process. They don't wake up and go to sleep thinking about gut health. They just don't. So, I mean, we think about Plexus a lot. They really don't. And they don't know what the detoxing symptoms might be. They're not really sure. They don't realize how things interact and how things change. So it's our job to make sure that they're having the best experience possible. So a lot of that is, like Randi was saying, expectations, setting those expectations for them in the beginning. But then when we need to troubleshoot them, if they're like, I don't know, I just don't feel like anything's happening. Okay. There are top 10 troubleshooting questions, and we're going to drop this into the Lead with Love chat as well, because I don't think we can put a graphic in this Zoom chat. But I'm going to read these questions off for you. And then, like I said, we'll drop it in there so you don't have to write them as fast as I'll say them. The first one, what are you taking? How much are you taking, like quantities of the pills and things? When are you taking them? Like what time of day? How long have you been, sometimes people are staggering things or started a new product. So, how long have you been taking everything consistently? Have you been consistent? Um, are you taking them every day? That's the consistency portion. How much water are you drinking? We need to know if they're drinking half their body weight in ounces of water every day. What are they eating or drinking? Sometimes if people are killing off candida, you're going to get those sugar cravings come back because candida is a living organism and it wants to live. So it's like, hey, bring down the sugar and the carbs and all the things and the alcohol and, bring all that in. And if we're feeding it while we're trying to kill it, then we're kind of going to make ourselves a little miserable. So it's helpful to know what they're eating and drinking so we can help guide them through that. If they're taking any medications, sometimes that can change the way that the products are able to create balance in the body. Sometimes, things are causing extra inflammation. So you just never know. So if they're taking any medications, we need to know what it is that they're looking for. If they feel like something's not working, well, what is it that you're looking for? What specific thing? Were they looking for weight loss and they think it's not working? Okay, well, let's explain to them about why the body loses the inflammation first and goes through all the detoxing and gets in balance and then goes, oh, I don't need that weight after all, but it's always later. So, we kind of need to make sure that we're continually doing that expectation management. And the last question was, what have you felt or noticed so far? Sometimes they don't realize that maybe they're sleeping better at night, or maybe they don't realize that they didn't have that 3 o'clock crash because they were so busy because they weren't crashed at 3 p.m. for their blood sugar tanking, that they were just go, go, go. And they didn't even pay attention. So it's really, really great to encourage your people to be in tune with their body, to slow down and try to listen to what their body's telling them and see those little differences, because that does make a big, big, big difference in them feeling confident in the products and confident in the support that you're giving them. So, the bottom line is, if you're helping your people, they're going to stick around, they're going to trust you. And even if things aren't going great with their products at that particular moment, they trust you because you've been faithful to them through that follow-up. They trust you to help them get through it. And so that is what we do. That is why we love our customers. And that's what we want to encourage you guys to practice. And it really is a practice thing. It's not something where you just come in and you're like, I'm the best customer service person ever. Y'all, I was terrible at it. And I thought I was decent, but like Randi said, oh, Alysun will share what she did. Number one, in the beginning, I didn't have a follow-up system, and I would think about it and then I'd be like, oh my gosh, I got a message so-and-so. And I would do that. But then I was like, oh my gosh, has it been a week and a half? And I had no idea because time was flying and I didn't have a system. Get yourself a system, make sure that you're consistent with it, because it will help so, so much. Now I have Project Broadcast, which is helping me a ton because I can schedule the messages to go out and then the follow-up is more consistent. And y'all, it makes a big, big difference when your follow-up is consistent. So let's get out there and help our people. And I think that's all we have, unless you wanted to add anything about troubleshooting, Randi.
No, but the only thing I really quickly wanted to say is, as far as those questions, when I started, I was like, I'm not noticing any energy. And Brandy I guess I was expecting to notice like energy, like caffeine type energy, right? And Brandy had to be like, well, are you taking naps anymore? So I think you just have to like think about that. Like maybe they just don't realize it. And so that was when I was like, wait a minute, I'm not. Like I was taking 2 naps a day. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm not drinking 4 cups of coffee anymore, right? Like I didn't even finish the one I had. So it's just stuff like that. You have to get them to realize it. Like sometimes they think that they're not noticing it, but there are some changes. So that's all I had. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to actually stop the recording